Finally, some nice weather. Last time I'd packed up my wing was on the beach with a hurricane on the horizon. So it was full of sand, so I did a little upside down kiting and dumped the bulk of the sand out on the taxiway here. I have a confession to make. All I do is obsess about flying the paraglider. Every single day. It's all I think about. What did I need to do to make the launch better? What do I need to do this better? Can I fly from here? What do the winds have to be for me to use this field? Am I the only one that's like this? Tell me that you have this sickness. Nice windy day. Thought I'd refresh some skills by kiting a little bit. I look up and my buddy Steve's out here in the CB making an approach. This is an airplane that takes off at 80, flies at 80, climbs at 80, flies the pattern at 80 miles an hour, and believe it or not, it lands at 80. So here he comes. Truly a museum piece. Let's go check it out. Gentlemen.
Hey, Todd, how you doing?
Hey, does the CB want to be in my next paragliding video?
Of course. Yeah, where do I have to go?
You just did.
I did.
Heard about 19 gallons of avgas, didn't you? Just coming around the pattern. How's it flying?
Excellent. God, I can't complain.
Been to a fly-in?
No, we just went flying. I went over to Saluda just for the heck of it.
Oh, I came out to shake some of the sand out of the wing. I'd packed it up. There was a hurricane coming. I don't know if you saw it on the news.
Jose?
No, Irma, when I was down in Florida, and I got all the cells packed full of sand, so I had to...
You were in Florida when that went through?
I came back home.
Oh, did you?
I raced. I drove all night and got home.
Holy smokes.
So anyways, I thought you might enjoy taking a look at a mid 1940s, late 1940s vintage, perfectly restored Republic CB. It's a beautiful airplane. Steve's taken me up in it a couple times. We've landed on water in it several times, and he flies it as much as he works on it, so it's not really just a museum piece. He enjoys owning it. Nope. Couple failed launches last night. How'd that happen? The long grass ain't helping any either. Well, Tucker says should have fixed that. He's right. Because that could be a problem. Especially, like I'm fond of saying, at my lack of skill level. That sock's dead again. The wind sock. Just an energy sapping activity. All right, back to this. No, there ain't no way I can run fast enough backward to snap that thing up. It just ain't gonna happen tonight. Not enough wind to try this morning, so maybe this evening will be a good chance to get out there. Here comes the Landseer 4. Pretty fast. Over the years, the wife and I have planned no less than 4 trips to Napa Valley, California. We've never made it, and this last week was the crown jewel of not making it with the epic fires that were so devastating out there. Well, we decided that we weren't going to just cancel the trip. We were still going to head to the Bay Area, spend a few days there. And at the last minute, I decided to pack up the paraglider and thought, well, maybe I'll find some paragliding sites out there for free flight. Only 2 problems. I hadn't done any pre-planning for a paragliding trip, and I'd never done any free flighting of any significance, maybe a few seconds down a 20-foot slope here in the Carolinas. I found this cool app. It's called paraglidingmap.com. You can use it web-based, or you can download the app and put it on your smartphone. And it lets you zoom in on areas that have paragliding launch and landing sites. It teaches you all about the sites. It tells you if they're regulated sites or not, and gives you directions on how to get there. And if you buy some of the in-app purchases, you can even learn more about the sites, including photos and videos of how to launch and land there. So after a few days of playing restaurant critic and tourist, I told my wife we were heading over to Pacifica to see Muscle Rock, see if maybe it looked as if I felt safe flying there. And here's the conditions that I found. This windsock is supposed to be blowing the other direction. Well, that was pretty much the conditions everywhere we went for the rest of the trip. 5 or 6 entire days of looking at launch sites from the Golden Gate all the way down to Big Sur. Well, the day that we chose to go down to Big Sur, the conditions weather-wise were almost perfect. It was about a 3-hour drive from Santa Cruz, where we were staying, and I didn't realize that to get from Highway 1 up to the launch site was almost a solid hour of driving uphill on mountain roads. The higher we got, the less comfortable my wife was with driving the vehicle back down alone, and my poor planning left us at the top of the hill there with barely enough gas to get back to a gas station. Fortunately, this coyote wasn't hungry enough to try to eat me. So we loaded up the car and headed back north, and we stopped at Sand City on the way back towards Santa Cruz, where the locals were flying, and they tried to convince me to get my glider out of the suitcase, get it full of sand, and at least do some kiting with them. But I settled to just watch them. It'd been a long day in the car. And that's no speed bar, and you're just floating, no speed bar. Rick here was a super nice guy, and he more or less insisted that I attempt to kite his wing. 25-meter wing, I believe it was a B wing, but it's a paraglider only wing, and I found that the brake pull points were significantly deeper than I would have them set on my Charger. My attempt to control his wing on the hill in the updraft was dismal enough that I more or less convinced myself that it wasn't the perfect evening for me to start trying. And now I kind of regret that I didn't get my wing and at least go down to the beach and kite on the beach and try to float up the hill. So here's Nick. Say hi, Nick.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
It's kind of cloudy. The locals tell me this is the perfect day. I'm freezing my buns off.
Well, it's not the perfect day. It's a good day, but it's the only day we've had since I got here a week ago.
Cool. Yeah, I've been waiting every single day for it to get flyable.
Yeah.
How big's your wing, Nick?
25 square meter. I'm flying it at about 98 kilo.
Eric, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
see you guys later.
Appreciate it. Little cravat there. Can you work it out? He's got it. No less than 3 of the local pilots told me that they used to be motor pilots, but because they live where they do, it's ideal to fly from the ridges, so they sold their motors. They don't motor fly anymore. George chasing after Nick. So right about here I realized that these guys have a really good understanding of the local weather forces in play. And I didn't quite understand a few things that they later explained to me, like how far out in front of the ridge does the pressure build? How much of it provides updraft? And what do you do if you're getting blown over the top of the ridge? What happens if you pull brakes to get airborne and you get carried further up the ridge than you're comfortable with? Well, these are all questions these guys have had a lot longer to figure out and a lot more time than one late afternoon moment of flyable weather. I really want to plan another trip to California with other paraglider pilots, and I want to revisit some of these sites that I had a chance to see. Further forward, and it seems so much more comfortable. So while I'm setting up for a landing here, I want you to consider our mutual obsession with piloting these silly paragliders. Do we need professional help, or should I just come into this field and land and enjoy the moment? All right, so let's see. while I'm going around, and as far as you know, I never landed.